Hey y'all, for those who don't know me, my name is Matt. I'm one of the 9th grade leaders along with Quinn, but I can't be with you tonight. I was planning to be on stage teaching to go through Genesis 3, and I'm really excited to talk about it, but unfortunately circumstances have changed and I just can't be there tonight. Last week I ended up getting a little sick, wondered what was going on, but I was like, whatever. Come Sunday, I ended up losing my taste and smell, so you can guess, but I ended up testing positive for COVID and have to stay isolated. I hope to be with you guys next week, but for this week, we're just going to do the teaching lesson through this video. For those who weren't here last week, Genesis 2 is what we're piggybacking off of, where Morgan was talking about how we are created in God's image. And that's His image and aspects of we long for love, and we long for justice, and we long for truth. These are all things inside of us that we can show in a small portion, and God is fully it. And so we are created in His image, and therefore we're valuable. But number 2, we're created for a purpose, to man the garden, to populate the earth. And so we had function and value all at the same time in Genesis 2. It was perfect. Now Genesis 3, where we're about to walk into, the chapter can be summed up as we done messed up. You know, it's considered the fall. Adam and Eve eat of a fruit that they weren't supposed to eat of. And so there's not a lot of good that can happen from that, and you and I have seen that because we're dealing with their consequence since the beginning of time, right? But if there's anything that I can give you, if there's a main point for this today, what I want to let you know is this. Even from Genesis 3, God's words are fulfilled 100% of the time. Not just 99, not just 98, not just 50%, but 100. Again, God's words are fulfilled 100% of the time. See, there's confidence even in this chapter that you and I can take from who God is in a situation where you're a lot less. Before we get there, I do want to talk about a story where I did not listen to something somebody told me. And that seems pretty stupid, but we all know that we all do it. There's plenty of situations where somebody who's smarter, older, wiser than us says something to us and we say, hold up. You don't know what I'm thinking. You don't know my heart. You don't know my strength. I'm bigger than what you're even cautioning me towards. Whatever, I got this, right? And that's how I felt. At 15 years old, I went to San Diego, going to see my cousins. I had visited them multiple times before that because we're really close with the family. And this time around, right when we get in, no later than me entering their house, my cousin Kimmy comes up to me and says, "Hey Matthew, you want to go to the beach?" And I'm the youngest cousin out of all. I said, "Why not? Let me get my shorts on." So Kimmy comes and gets me, and we go to the beach. And she's there with friends, and it's kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone for her. Make cousin Matthew happy, also get to see your friends, right? So she looks at me before I head over towards the water, and she says, "Matthew, I'm gonna go over there and hang out with my friends, and I'll be watching you and stuff, but my only ask is don't turn your back to the waves, okay? Please don't turn your back to the waves, that's all I ask, okay? I'm gonna go have fun, you do your thing, if you need me, I'm right over there." And so I said, "Cool, cuz I got it, we're good, like I'll be fine." In my 15-year-old mind, I'm like, I grew up in a pool, I grew up next to Lake Michigan, I know waves, I know water, I can swim, I taught myself at 4. Ain't nobody taught this person how to swim, I did. So in my mind, I'm thinking things are gonna be okay. So I'm looking at the waves, it's a little scary, it's darker, murkier water. There are definitely great whites in San Diego, and I've watched plenty of Shark Weeks and Jaws to be freaked out of water. But the ocean and the waves coming at me were so cool that I was like, I gotta ride one of these. My cousin Kevin, who's her brother, actually would bodyboard all the time in San Diego. And so that started my interest. And so I'm watching these waves for about 10-15 minutes, and then there's this one wave. It was the prize wave, it was the one I wanted. And I was like, all right. And it's like 3 to 6 feet high. I swim out to it and I instantly turn back around so I can catch the wave, which is the one thing my cousin said, don't do. And so I'm swimming on top of this wave, I'm high up in the air, I'm looking out, I'm saying, look at me go. I feel like I am Aquaman for sure. And I'm enjoying every second of it, which is about half a second. Because the moment I realize I'm that high, I look down to see what's going to catch me. Lo and behold, all the water that was once on the beach is now underneath me, and what is left is sand. So, the water, I'm like coasting, smack face first into the sand with the water. The strength of the ocean was so strong, it flipped me right onto my feet. I'm bleeding straight from my nose. I have sandburn all down my face. I have whiplash and my stiff neck the remainder of that week. And my cousin comes over furious. And she was like, Matthew, I told you all things not to turn your back to the wave. And what did you do? What were you thinking? And I didn't have a response. I said, I don't know, but I don't feel good. And so that's how the rest of my week went. I was a sore, embarrassed, ashamed 15-year-old cousin because I did not listen to my cousin who actually knew better. And that's where we're at. So before we get into Genesis 3, I want to read to you the exact words that God says first to them before we see how they done messed up. And messed it up for everybody, right? So Genesis 2:16 to 17. It says, And the Lord God commanded the man, saying, You may surely eat of every tree of the garden, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat. For when you eat of that, you shall surely die. Point blank, drop the mic, that's it. Eat every other tree in this world, but don't eat that one. That was it. I want you to, before we get into Genesis 3, watch this video. It's from a show called Magic for Humans. It's a situation where you've probably seen before, but where these kids are said, don't do this and you can get a reward. Or they're told, don't do this and you will be able to get a reward. And just see how they respond. And then we'll jump into the text.